Hello students, welcome back to our classroom piano lessons on the web. Your teacher Tim back here once again. Hopefully things will get started here. And they did. Excellent, excellent. All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Let me know in the comments. We're going to say hello to some people before we begin tonight. We got Bernadine back once again. Welcome out, Bernadine. So happy you could come join us. Let's get the chat in there. We got Adria back once again. How you doing, Adria? Glad to have you back with us again. We got Sergio. Hey, Tim. Hello, everybody. Hello, Sergio. Paul says hello. Welcome, Paul. I believe it's your first time out or one of your first times out. You're always welcome to come back and join us again. We'd love to see you, but happy to have you out here tonight. We got Lynn L back here again, so welcome out. And then Linda Reitz, of course, says, hey, all. Hello, Linda. Hopefully you are doing well. I am doing all right. Okay. We'll get started here in a second. Let me make sure everything is started up. Tonight we are talking about making progress on the piano, and I'm going to be talking about some roadblocks that you might face, about hitting the wall. So we'll talk more about that, though, in a minute. Hey, you didn't have to leave YouTube and come back this time. It came right on from the waiting thing. All right, perfect. For once, it actually worked for for once. So it's always glad when things actually work out. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna get started. Let me get the Facebook stream started, and then we will begin here in a second. Hold on. Here we go. Perfect. Hey, Larry's back again. How you doing, Larry? Glad to have you back with us. Hello, students, and welcome back to your classroom. Your piano teacher, Tim here. If you're joining us live, actually, if you're not joining us live, whether you are or not, we meet Fridays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are looking to join us live, that's the time to do it. Fridays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you're here live, you're here right on time. Your piano teacher, Tim here. Okay, we are going to get started right now. So let me just get this up on the screen, and then we'll be ready to go. I actually don't need my headphones for once. Okay. It's weird talking without them, though. There have been so many times in my life where I've been putting tons of work into something, whether it's learning how to play piano, the YouTube channel, or pretty much anything else, and I make some progress at first, and it feels really good to make that progress, but inevitably, I always somewhere along the line hit the wall, where all of a sudden, you're putting in the same amount of effort, you're really struggling hard, and you're just not getting the results you once were. It's demoralizing, it's really disappointing, and it can really, really ruin your progress playing piano. If that sounds familiar to you, then you really need to listen to what we're going to talk about today, because I'm going to talk about the wall and how to overcome it. Your piano teacher, Tim here from Piano Lessons on the Web, the classroom dedicated to powering up your piano skills and sharing them with the world. The first thing I have to tell you about how to solve the problem of hitting the wall. First of all, the wall is when you put a lot of progress into something, all of a sudden your results not vanish from the ones you made, but you're no longer making progress beyond that point. You might put more and more work into it, but it probably won't matter. There's some things you got to do, and the first thing you got to do is put yourself into a different headspace. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, one thing I want to tell you is that first, to make you feel better, and I tell myself this all the time, and it is true, is the way you are feeling is perfectly normal. Remember, perfectly normal. There's nothing particularly wrong with you. You're not the only person in the world struggling with this. We all struggle with it. I'm struggling with it right now. This lesson is actually kind of, in a weird way, a reminder to myself to follow these steps to get back on track. So let me take a look here. The other thing I got to tell you is to relax. You know, I think one of the things once we hit that disappointment, we start overthinking things too much, at least I do, and it ruins the whole experience. It's no longer fun, and that's just not the way to go. That's just going to make things a lot worse. You got to stop beating yourself up about it, and you got to really open your mind as to what the solutions are and the problems that you are having. And remember, have fun with your piano practice. That's why we learn piano in the first place. I mean, if you're a kid, you might be learning piano for your parents, but you know, as an adult, if you're learning piano, you're probably doing it for yourself, and along the way somebody's inspired you. There's some kind of song that you've always wanted to learn how to play. So remember, it's about having fun. At least I think so. So just keep that in mind, and I'm going to keep that in mind as I move forward here. Okay, the next thing I have to tell you, which goes along with the previous thing I told you, is talk yourself into positive thinking. The power of positive thinking is enormous. It sounds really cliche. It sounds really silly to some, but it is very, very true that when you talk yourself, you can talk yourself in and out to pretty much anything. So if you tell yourself, oh man, this is going to be terrible, it's going to work out badly, everything's coming crashing down on me, then it might not absolutely happen, but you're increasing the chances it will happen, and you're just basically turning everything towards a very negative bend. You need to stop it. You need to start thinking positively about it, thinking that things will work out. You know, this is just a struggle that everybody has and that I'm having right now, and that you can get over it. You really can. So get yourself into that good headspace and positive thinking. The next thing I have to tell you in terms of piano practice, and you can apply this to anything, is change things up. It could be that your piano routine is just getting stale. Maybe you've been learning the same pieces for a long time. Maybe you've had the same exact structure to your piano playing forever, and it's just getting bored and tired for you. So you can switch things up in a number of ways. If you only play classical music, or you play only country music, or whichever it is, you know, switch it up. Learn jazz maybe. Even if you're not that interested in jazz, you might learn that you are, and you just didn't realize it before. There's a lot of things that I've thought I wouldn't like in life, and I turned out that I did, just because I kind of learned it and then I persevered, and I learned to really grow to love that thing. Music theory is one of those things where when I first started taking music theory in college, it wasn't working out so well. I really struggled at first, but as I got through, I think there was at least 4 music theories we had to take, and then some composition courses. So, you know, by music theory level 3, I really, really started to like it. I really started to excel, and I wouldn't have learned that other than having to be forced to take those courses in the first place. So kind of force yourself to learn some things maybe you thought you wouldn't like, because you might be surprised. You might also want to start learning some things that maybe you've been putting off for a while. If you haven't been learning your scales, you know, maybe it's a good time to start with your scales. If you haven't been practicing your two-handed piano exercises or sight reading, you know what I mean, pretty much anything that you've been putting off, you know, try that out. Replace that with some other things, switch things around, and that will kind of force your brain to, it just kind of, at least for me, it shocks it back into reality, and kind of gets you into a fresh mindset, which is what this whole thing is about. Because when you hit the wall, you're really in a negative mindset, because you're not reaching that potential that you were before, and it is possible to overcome. The first thing you got to do is change the key on your mind into positive mode, and then change up your practice routine. All right, let's take a look at the next little topic I want to go over to help you get through this. Okay. The other thing I have to tell you is get inspired. I get this comment from students quite often because this happens to everybody, where all of a sudden they feel like the passion they had towards learning piano is starting to diminish and maybe even go away. The number one tip I have for you is try to remember why you started learning in the first place. Or perhaps, what inspired you to? Did you find a teacher along the way that really, inspired you to pick up the piano? Was there a type of music that you really liked to listen to that got you into it in the first place? And maybe you don't listen to it as much anymore, or maybe you haven't caught up with the newest, pieces that have come out from that artist. So spend some time reconnecting with why you started in the first place. Okay, the last thing I have to tell you about this topic, we're still going to continue here, the lesson's not ending yet, is that you want to spend some time on things other than the thing you're frustrated about. So I'm not saying that you necessarily have to take time off from practicing, but say you practice an hour a day, and then the rest of your hours in the day, you're spending your thought processes thinking about how frustrated you are that you're not making progress anymore. Well, what you need to do is you need to focus. You still want to get your practice time in, but after that you want to focus on different things, whether it's family, friends, other hobbies that you have, other things that you love, because just focusing on it over and over and over again will get you caught in a negative loop, as I talked about before. And to get into a more positive one, sometimes you just need to spend some time away from it. Maybe you need to go on a vacation. Maybe, pretty much just anything. Just get your mind out of that negativity and into a more positive space. Okay, let's see here, everybody. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to be taking questions now from the chat here. I'm going to see if I missed any. So hopefully you found that part of the lesson helpful, and I'll try to illuminate more for you as I answer some questions. So let's take a look here and see what people have to say. First of all, I want to thank Linda very much for the $2 super chat. Very much appreciated for that. Thank you. Hello, Tim. Monique from Tennessee. Well, welcome, Monique. I believe it's your first time out. So happy you could join us. Anybody who's out here for a first time, you can join us Fridays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are meeting again on Sunday, so around the same time right now on Sunday, if you want to catch us back for that. I always love to see returning students come back again. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, Monique, to our classroom. Barbara. Hi, okay, I already read that one. Larry, I said hello to. Laredo, welcome. Glad to have you back with us. We got Truman here. Hello, Truman. Happy that you're out here. Sean Koresh. Hey, glad to make it this time. My second. All right, nice. Gonna buy courses of yours soon. Well, thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. I hope you found tonight's lesson helpful, and let me know if you ever have any questions about those courses. And welcome back. Barbara says, I feel like the jack of all trades. Frustrating, says Linda Reitz. Here from Bangor in new headspace. Still cold up here. All right, great. Glad you're in a new headspace. Nathan says, hello, everybody. Hope I do not fall asleep, says Laredo. I'm exhausted from this morning. Well, that's understandable. I was a little bit tired earlier, but I'm pepping up now that we've had our pep talk on getting into positive heads. The theme of tonight is positive headspace. That's what I should have titled the video. I am looking forward to great advice from Tim. All right, nice. Perfect. Okay, we got Barbara here. I have learned to practice positive thinking. You should practice positive feeling. Okay, I like that. I like that kind of mentality. So the way maybe we feel towards the things we're doing and others, get that more positive as well. Positivity is a big part of, I don't know, me going forward as a person. I consider myself overall a positive person, although I am a human being overall. So I do have those moments where I do doubt myself a little bit or doubt what's happening. And sometimes that leads to good results, so long as what? I get into a good headspace again. That's actually one thing I want to mention. Let me put this as part of the video. One thing I want to mention to you, now that I thought about it from a comment in our classroom, is that getting into this rut, right, where you feel like you're not making progress anymore, is actually an important part of progress, because what it forces you to do is re-strategize, rethink, and a lot of times you're going to wind up, so long as you get into a positive headspace, in a much better position than where you started, because had you just continued down the road you went, you really wouldn't have experimented with anything new, and you really would have just continued down that same old path. So I always look back on these times, if I struggle and then I get through it, where it's really a time of self-growth, self-reflection, and overall a worthwhile experience. Like I said, so long as you can get out of it, which you can, and put yourself into that, quote, positive headspace. Forcing yourself gets harder as you get older, says Barbara. I assume you're talking about positivity, or forcing yourself maybe in general. I can imagine that. But I think no matter what age you are, you can definitely improve upon whatever situation you're in, or you can make it worse, depending on how you think about it. Fireflower's back, everybody. Everybody welcome out Fireflower again. Happy to have you with us. My husband says, well, wait, what happened? It skipped. All right, my husband says 9 months of practice and still can't play a song. Yanni. My husband says 9 months of practice and you still can't play a song. Wait, I don't know what Yanni is. What? Husband says 50 years and you still can't play a song. Well, hopefully you can play something. Even if it's like, you know, Itsy Bitsy Spider or something. Gary Cook says, everybody's a critic. Very true. All right, Sergio says, hi, Tim. I wanted to ask about an obstacle I've had for many weeks in sight reading. Okay, great. I read by intervals, but have had problems reading in key signatures with sharps and flats. So what I recommend you do, Sergio, is start reading in sight reading in pieces with sharps and flats, but only with only one sharp or one flat at a time. You don't want to jump from reading 0 sharps, 0 flats to, say, the key of C sharp, which has all sharps. So let me try to find a resource. I'm going to thank Carol here in a second for her super chat, but I'm going to look at the good old sight reading piano. Okay, belmont.edu. Let me see if these... I believe these exercises do start to get into different key signatures. And they do. Okay, so go to, just type in sight reading piano into Google, and it should bring it up. It should be one of the first ones that comes up. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over. I'm going to copy this page, actually. I'm going to copy this over to you guys. Okay, sight reading examples. And that way you can take a look at these, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. Go into the easy sight readings. And right here, you can see that these begin with only one flat, this example. The next example only has one sharp. So you really only have to worry about one of each, and then it goes into 2 sharps. So it kind of eases you into it a bit easier, back to one flat, one sharp. And then as you get into more difficult ones, I think they'll start adding some. There's 2 sharps there. So you might actually just want to spend some time practicing these really easy ones. This might be a little bit below your current sight reading level, but in terms of getting a hang of sharps and flats, you want to start there and then work your way into more difficult. If you go back to the sight reading page, go to intermediate sight reading, I believe down here they will start to get into more difficult. Somewhere they do. I know I'm not crazy on this. Somewhere they start getting into more difficult key signatures. But anyway, that's what I recommend. Start with symbol key signatures with only one sharp, one flat, and then go from there. There's actually something in here I want to talk about later on. And so just give me a second to scroll. Scrolling. I don't know. I'm going to have to find it later again. I should have bookmarked it. Anywho. All right, let us take a look here. Oh, we have Streamception going on. Oops. Okay, Laria says, oh yes, together we shall overcome any hurdles and diminishing inspiration. We shall truly reconnect and refocus as we pick up speed and gain momentum. No more procrastination, especially from me, says Laredo. All right. That's the attitude you want. All right, so Carol Christensen, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Very much appreciated. It looks like you got the bank accounts all figured out, since I think you were the one that told me you got hacked a while ago, but glad you have everything back into working order. Hello, Tanny Shaw, back once again. Thank you for coming back, Tanny. Happy to have you as part of our classroom. We have Paul. When I learn a song and I put it aside, then pick it up a few weeks later, it feels like I'm starting over. That's pretty normal. It shouldn't be like you're completely starting over. You might feel rusty on it to where you have to play it a few times to get it back to normal. But it depends, Paul. It depends on how long you've been learning. Because if you are pretty new within the first few months, I would say it's more normal than if you've been learning for years, like me. I can pick up a song I learned years ago, and yeah, it's not going to be as good as when I left it last, but it's certainly not as bad as starting from the beginning. I wouldn't say anything's wrong with you, especially if you're just starting out. What I would do actually to overcome that, Paul, is start creating a repertoire, a list of songs that you like and that you're good at and that you can learn from memory. And maybe develop like a repertoire of 3 or 4 songs. And then like in the beginning of your practice, maybe not every time you practice, maybe every other time, go through those 4 pieces. That way you're going to have 4 pieces ready to go if anybody ever asks you if you know how to play piano, rather than just trying to remember the last song that you learned. Because if you're just learning a new song for a while, you may be spending the first few days, first few weeks on it. It's going to be harder for you to remember. So get something that you really, really can learn very easily. Not very easily, but very, very well. Okay, Sergio says, how can I put the notes that I need to be sharped or flatted if I'm not reading the names of the notes, but the distances from one another? Okay, how can I know the notes that need to be sharped or flatted if I'm not reading the note names of the notes? So you're going to have to learn your scales for this. I believe you're the same one that asked me about the sight reading as well. So say, let me take a look here. So say I'm sight reading this piece here, number 26. And I'm doing it strictly by intervals. I'm not reading any of the notes. First of all, I don't recommend that you only look at intervals. I really do recommend you start out learning to actually read the sheet music, memorizing the lines and spaces, and then building off of that on the intervals. The intervals technique is great and can help you learn to read music faster, but you really should learn the actual lines and spaces of each clef because it'll give your brain more information to go on. But what you need to do is, like if you're reading in a key signature, for instance, because if you have accidentals in the middle of a piece, it'll tell you where the sharp is. But say I have this piece here. You see how on that top line, if there's the sharp, if you put a note there, that would be F. So you just have to keep in mind that anytime you're going to hit an F, whether you're using the sight reading or not, where is it? Or not the sight reading or not, whether you're using the intervals or not, you just know that anytime I have to hit an F, I don't know if we're going to have any Fs in this one. I don't think I am. So it's not an issue. But what you want to do, other than going back and spending some time, you know, learning to read on both clefs, is that you want to first look at your key signature, ask yourself what notes are being sharped or flat, and then make a mental note of it. You circle them if you even need to. This is why it's good to actually know how to read your clef, because you'll know where those notes are located, all of those Fs. And then just make sure you're hitting F sharp instead of regular F. If you want to have more, let me find a lesson for you. If you want more information on how key signatures work, type in key signatures and then lessons on the web into YouTube. And yeah, check out this lesson right here, key signatures made easy for beginners. I think you're going to find that one pretty helpful. Okay, let's take a look at what else we got. Okay, Carol says, Lyndon and Barbara, I think my husband is pretty sick of Canon and D, and I am too. I am searching now for that next song. Hello, Mr. Tim says, Bronze Knight. Welcome back, Bronze Knight. A new regular into our classroom. I believe it's your fifth time here, maybe. So welcome out. Okay, Barbara has illuminated on the comment she made before. Practice positive feeling by thinking about things that make you feel good. Pleasant memories, petting your pet. Well, my pet is no longer, but looking, admiring, appreciating, etc. Yeah, you know, that's really, really good advice, especially for me right now, because, I mean, there is a lot of positive things going on, but after the year I had last year, it's harder to be positive. I'm coming around. But that's some good advice. Forcing yourself to push on with the things that feel difficult. Yeah. So that's good advice as well. I can play the old clock in the corner. Okay, I'm struggling to play Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I'm struggling, and it's really Edie. I don't know. I don't know what Edie is. Okay, Barbara says, I can't play songs because the easy ones don't interest me, and I spend all my time on the hard ones. Well, we all work a little bit differently, but that's okay. You know, it's always quality over quantity. Like, if you really like playing the more difficult ones, go for that. And I'd say that beats learning a bunch of easy ones, unless that's what you want to go for. I know some students that do like to learn easier things, because then they feel more accomplished. They can play something all the way through. But I know a lot of other students, like even myself, quiet computer. I actually don't know if that came through the... Oh, I think it did. Hold on. Anywho, I do know other students who like more difficult pieces. Loreto says, your song, Georgia on My Mind, Piano Man, and the Blue Danube, sorry, allergies are back, should help. What is it? Whatever it is. Bum-ba-da-da-bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Oh, we got a lot of questions on tonight. That's excellent. Tim, I really have trouble finishing a piece. I do really well on the first page or two, and then I struggle. You would think I would want to finish it. I have that problem too as well, where I'll learn a piece for a while, and I have a habit of like starting a new one before I finish the old one. But let me reread your question here, or your comment. I do really well at the first page, and then I struggle. Okay, you would think I would want to finish it. Yeah. So what I would do actually is the things I usually normally say about this is don't start from the first page all the time. So learn the first page, but then actually start your practice from that second page. and just keep going. And don't make too much of a habit of abandoning a song for another, because then that kind of fits you into that groove, and then that is like probably what you're going to continue to do if you're anything like me. Continue to do until the end of time. Adria says Yanni is a performer, songwriter. He's an artist. Does he play violin? Because believe it or not, I think I talked to Yanni before on Skype. You're not going to believe me. I was teaching a student who, if I have this person correct, now I don't know whether this was really Yanni or not. I was told it was Yanni. The kid's dad told me it was Yanni. He told me it was Yanni. Yanni told me he was Yanni. So I don't know. It could be like some elaborate troll, or it could be a different person. But I was teaching a student. He lived in China at the time, and he actually is getting into a conservatory pretty soon, which I'm very excited, very proud of him about. And one day he's like, Yanni's here. He's friends with my dad. And I was like, what? I didn't know who that was. That's why when you said the name, it like at first I don't know. It took a minute to really register. But then he's like, do you want to talk to him? And I was like, I guess. And I sat down and I talked to him for a couple of minutes. But I don't know. I don't know if it was really him or what, or if it was a different person. Okay, Paul says, I've been working on Air on a G string for a while. Yep, that one can take a while for sure, especially if you are a beginner. Adria says, message retracted. Okay. Lorena says, thank you. I'll get some of those songs, and a new song, something different than Canon in D. If you're playing Canon in D, other songs that are around that same level are like Fur Elise, Minuet in G. Need to work on my memory on that one. And Prelude in C is a bit easier. But that one's a really good one. If you're looking for something a little bit easier but sounds really nice, that's one I would definitely go for. Yeah, Air on a G string is a real song. It is not. Paul is not trolling us. Now hold on a second. Okay, Lorena says, LOL, as if I could play any of those songs. I'm 20 years from playing anything close to them, but I'm positive I shall get there. All right, like I said, all about positive attitude. Grace is back here once again. Grace is back. Glad to have you back with us, Grace. So happy you could join us. Awesome. Adria says, love a few of his songs. Okay, Super Pika Kong, which I think is a mixture between Pikachu and Donkey Kong, and Super Saiyan Goku. Can you please upload these streams because it's now 2 a.m.? The answer is yes. So this recording, actually just copy down the link of wherever you're watching this right now in the address bar, or bookmark the page. And as soon as we're done here, actually the recording is available on the YouTube channel. So the answer is absolutely. Barbara says, I have a question about using the sustain pedal when there's no markings to indicate its use, but you can play the measure without it. Okay, I have a question about using the sustain pedal when there are no markings. Okay, to indicate its use, but you can't play the measure without it. Well, you probably could play it without it, but it might sound crappy. Okay, like when there's a chord in whole notes and a melody in quarters in the same hand. When there is a chord in whole notes, okay, and a melody in quarters in the same hand. I don't know, like this? I don't know, like that? Okay, so what's the question about? All right, I'll get back down to it in a second. Jim Carter says, hi, everybody. Hello, Jim Carter. Welcome out to our classroom. Happy that you could join us today. Thanks, Tim. Good idea. You're welcome, Paul. It's almost time to start practicing my Christmas songs. No, it's not. No, I'm just kidding. It's almost July and I need a lot of time. All right. Yeah, I could see that, especially if you are looking to learn quite a bit of them. You can do that. I was just joking around because I think it's way too early for me, at least, to start thinking about Christmas. Christmas has always been a rough time for me, by the way. So if I never seem excited about Christmas and you're like, what is wrong with this person? Because I do get that reaction a lot. I've just always had a rough Christmas from like the day I was born. There's a few good ones in there. But I think a lot of people struggle on Christmas. So I definitely relate to those people more than the ones that are like, I don't know, like, I love Christmas. Oh my God. I like certain parts about it. Don't get me wrong. There are some great parts about Christmas. Adria says, oh wait, at Adria, thanks, says Super Pika Kong. Adria says, no problem. Okay, Merry Christmas Carol. Merry Christmas Carol, I agree. I have a lot to learn, obviously. Thanks, Tim, says Sergio, you're very welcome. Laredo says, I suppose that you can use your own discretion however you deem it necessary. So in terms of using that pedal, in that instance, whenever you're hitting a new chord, that's when you want to be popping up the pedal and then holding it down. Or if the chord does not change, I would pop the pedal up to give it, you know, I don't know what that's called. But anyway, you hold down the pedal, it blends the notes together. And you know what I mean. You pop up the pedal real quick to break in the sound. So do that at least once a measure, but you definitely want to do it every time the chord changes, because if I change chords and I leave it down, hear that? Doesn't sound so good. But if I lift it up real quick, much better. Cheryl Faye says, hi, Tim. Hello, Cheryl. So happy you could come out and join us once again. I don't remember whether it's been a while or not. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you, but I'm not sure. But I'm happy to have you out tonight. All right. Oh, Yanni is a great pianist, so it's a totally different person. I talked to somebody that was a violin player. Grace asks, how do you get yourself to improve faster, Tim? Good question. So if you want to improve faster, you need to do the following. Number 1, get more practice time. Number 2, practice sight reading a lot. Seriously, get as good as you can at sight reading, because if you want to learn difficult pieces faster or scales or anything like that, you need to learn how to get better at sight reading, because the better you are at sight reading, the faster you'll be able to just look at a piece of music and be able to play it. I cannot stress that enough, that sight reading is one of the most, beyond like the real general stuff that you want to start with, rhythm, reading music, all that stuff in the beginning, the next skill you want to develop is sight reading, and you want to do sight read every single day. You want to check out my sight reading lessons if you have not already. You can, let me kind of find it for you. I know you've probably seen them before, Grace, since I've talked about them often, but maybe not. And for anybody that's kind of curious about it, so let me just type in sight reading. By the way, I have a pro tip for anybody who's new, or in case you haven't heard me do this before. Type in whatever you're looking for. If you're wondering if my channel has made a video on it, or if I've made a video on it yet, type in what you want, so sight reading, and then just type in lessons on the web. And 99% of the time, that's going to get where you want to go. You want to check out 2 videos. You want to check out this first one here called How to Sight Read Sheet Music the Best Way. And then you want to check out this Power Up Your Piano Sight Reading Fast with these easy tips, which is pretty recent video, 2 weeks ago there. So let me link both of these up for everybody. So this is how to sight read music the best. Stop that. So how to sight read music the best way. Oops, I accidentally clicked on that, but it doesn't matter. All right, here we go. Okay, how to sight read the best way. So watch this one first, or anybody that's new to sight reading, and then I'll continue my explanation here. Let's see. And then let me link people to this one. Okay. And then sight reading lesson 2. So check those out. Okay. Oh, and then in terms of getting better, sorry, allergies got me again. Other than that, you know, just get as good as you can at sight reading. Don't neglect certain things. Like if you're bad at rhythm, spend more time on rhythm. So what I would do actually is, besides get more practice time sight reading, I want you to make a list of maybe 4 or 5 things that you haven't been spending enough time on piano, or things that you're struggling with. I'm willing to bet you can come up with 4 or 5, because as long as I've been playing piano, I can come up with 4 or 5. Ear training being one, I could still become better at sight reading. My rhythm has come a long way, but you know, it's probably something I would want to work on. And then if I really sat down, my memorization, I need to get back into memorizing things more. I am fairly good at memorizing, but I haven't been doing it a lot lately, mainly because I haven't been getting ready for any recitals or anything. So make a list of 4 or 5 things that you struggle with or you've been neglecting, and make sure you fit those into your practice routine. And if you do that, those lists of the few things that I gave you, it will really, really help you attain much better results in the long term. I really need to make a lesson pretty much just on that. That sounds like a good lesson, actually. Actually, it's such a good lesson idea that I'm going to write it down right now. I might even have it down, but I'm a big fan of writing down my lesson ideas these days. So I have a lot of new lesson ideas, by the way. If you notice, tonight's lesson was a little bit different than what we usually do. And you're going to see more of that, but you're also still going to see the types of lessons we've been doing, because I feel like they're really helpful for you as the community in the classroom. But new things coming from me, especially over the next few months, that you'll start to see. Okay, we got I love playing Christmas songs, says Paul H. All right. Somebody's name who I cannot pronounce because I do not know that language. I'm going to call you, well, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to call you the person I can't pronounce. If I see easy songs, could be possible to learn hard songs. Oh, if you learn easy songs, I gotcha. Could it be possible? Well, yes and no. So what you want to do is you want to start out with easy songs. You do want to learn quite a few of them. And then you want to look for songs that are only a little bit harder than the ones you just played. You don't want to go from easy songs right to hard songs right away. It's a gradual climb. It's like climbing a ladder, right? You're not going to be on the bottom rung and then all of a sudden be on the top rung. Maybe you can jump that far, but probably not a good idea, right? What could happen? You could slip and fall and break your neck. So you go up one rung at a time. You know, you start out with Itsy Bitsy Spider or Nursery Rhymes, and then you go up to, I don't know, like something a little bit more hard than that. That's not too bad. Maybe Happy Birthday, that song. And then go up another rung, and then maybe learn Prelude in C by Bach, and then Minuet in G by Bach, and then, you know, slowly up. You're not going to go from Itsy Bitsy Spider to Pathetique Sonata or Chopin anything. Barbara says, I want to learn to accompany myself by ear. I can play melodies by ear, okay, but I can only play block chords with that, and it seems dull. Okay, let me think. Actually, let me do this really quick. Like this. So, hold on, everybody. Alright, I had to blow my nose for a second. Now we're back. Okay. I want to learn to accompany myself by ear. I'm just making sure I got this question correct. I can play melodies by ear well, okay. And I can only play block chords, and then it seems dull. Yeah, so it is going to seem dull at first when you first start to do it, and you don't want to get really complicated with your left hand if you want to accompany yourself. I assume you're talking about accompanying yourself. You're singing, right, the melody while you're playing block chords on the piano. Is that correct? Do I have that right? I want to accompany myself by ear. Or are you talking about, I think actually this is what you're talking about. You're playing a melody here, and you're accompanying that melody with your left hand. I think that's what you're talking about. So, yeah, so if you use just block chords, it is going to sound a little bit dull. You can try, still playing the block chords, but switching up the rhythm. You can try switching up the rhythms. You can also try turning them into arpeggios. Let me try this a little bit better. So then you can try arpeggiating them. You can try, actually, we're going to come out with a lesson next week about left-hand accompaniment patterns. So you're going to want to check that out, actually, Barbara, because I will go into more detail about these. You can try doing something like that as well. So just experiment around. You're playing the melody, okay, on the piano, yeah. So just try that, start with block chords, then play the block chords in different rhythms, and then try doing like arpeggios, same chords, and try it from there. And then next week I'm going to come out with a lesson that I think you're going to really find helpful for that, because I'm going to build on that a bit. How to improve left hand from Saudi Arabia. Many thanks. You're very welcome from Saut. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I do apologize. Okay, how to get better at left hand. Well, one thing I want you to do, I always like linking to my catalog of lessons, because one, I need to get on to more questions, so it kind of helps me flow the lesson a little bit better, but two, when I make these lessons, it does it in a really well thought out way that I thought about ahead of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you to this lesson right here. If you just type in left hand piano, it should be down a little bit. It's right here with the red lettering here. Let me copy this for you, this link, and get this over for you. So practice this left hand pattern. It will help you. Other than that, what I have to tell you is that to practice this, or your left hand, is first of all, work on your scales, work on all your other things. And then maybe when you're learning pieces, maybe practice the left hand part twice as much as the right hand part. Because if you're right-handed, your right hand's really strong, what do you need to do? You need to spend more time playing with your left hand. And just by playing through things more with your left hand than your right, that will help in some degree catch it up. But you also want to check out the lesson I sent you. Okay. So these stickers on Amazon that shows you the notes and their position on the staff. Would you recommend those stickers? No. Would it help your sight reading? It would probably hinder it. Those Fireflower, those stickers are probably okay if you're just starting out. So, yeah, I would say avoid the stickers if possible. If you're having a lot of trouble, you could put a couple of the stickers on for notes that are maybe like way high up on the staff. But ultimately, I don't recommend it. Yanni is Greek, according to Linda. Yanni is married to Linda Evans. Okay. We may be too young to remember her. I am. Actually, I don't know if they were married. Okay. He plays piano. Live DVD. Famous composer. Man, we're getting a lot of great questions tonight. I'm really happy about this. I might not get to all of them, though. So I do apologize if I do not. I actually still have to get to the questions that came in through the community section. So I'm probably going to do that next, but let me see. You can't stand furry leaves, man. Okay, question says, when choosing a song, is it better to choose something with 2 or more sharps or flats? Or is it okay to find something in this key of G or key of C? Is that going backwards? Not necessarily. You can actually, if you're used to playing in, say, the key of A with 3 sharps, you can learn a piece in the key of C. There's nothing wrong with that. It could also actually be technically harder. It could have more scale runs. It could have more arpeggios, more things going on that can actually teach you other things. So, no, I don't see it as going back at all. Now, if you go back, if you go and you play only songs then in the key of C and you never go back to playing things in sharps or flats, that is going backwards. But, you know, learning a song that's in one of the easier key signatures after you've done the harder ones, no, that's not necessarily bad at all. Sometimes you can't reach all the notes out of the melody, like if the distance is 10 or 11, I can do 9. Yeah, I can't do tenths either. So what you're going to have to do is actually, so there's a 10th right there, right? There's no way I could hit that note up there. But if I hold down the pedal and I have a chord, I can roll that chord. That works. But, so say you have a melody, and then I have to hit that E. So say it goes E, D, C, and then that E right there. I'm just going to have to practice physically moving my hand position using the pedal to kind of connect that melody there. So I don't have very big hands either, so don't worry about that. So there are little ways of getting around it all. So hold on a second, everybody. Okay, let's see. Hello, Master, says Arturo. Hello, Arturo. Glad to have you with us here. Anybody that, maybe it's your first time out, maybe you're just joining us. Remember, Fridays, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can attend our live streams, facebook.com/lessonsontheweb or youtube.com/lessonsontheweb at that start time. $41 watching, probably the most you've ever had watching a stream. Is that true? I think one time I had like 45, but that is pretty exciting. I'm happy about that. That means more people are finding out about our classroom and they are coming back for more piano goodness. So I'm so happy to have you all in the classroom. I'm really serious about that. And it really makes things worth doing, that's for sure. Barbara says, it's in the Entertainer. I will send you a picture on Piano Students on the web, Facebook later. Truman Fink says, how much time do you have to spend on piano in one day? Do I spend on the piano in one day? Ideally, I should be spending more than an hour. I have been getting into practicing more. I have been really busy teaching, though, and buying this house. So, I would say an hour. On a good week, I'll get in, maybe an hour a day. On a great week, more than an hour a day. What I should be doing, definitely more than an hour a day, probably like 3 hours if I really wanted to get really good at piano again. So, yeah. I've also been playing music without music sheet. What should I do to improve ear training? Great question. So, to improve your ear training, I feel like we did a lesson on this recently. Ear training, huh? Let's see. Let me look something up for you. Okay, and then I do apologize to everybody else, but I do think I might have to cut off the questions after the next one or two. Oh, we had a live stream last week, actually. So do this. Go to YouTube, type in ear training lessons on the web. There's actually a playlist of lessons that I have here that I want you to watch. I also want you to watch the live stream we did last week called Ear Training for Chords, Intervals, and Scales. You definitely want to start there, actually. So watch the live stream we did on June 22nd, and then check out the playlist there. Let me at least link you to that live stream. Okay, ear training live stream. Barbara says for ear training, close your eyes and poke a key and then guess. Okay, there's a lot to learn. Information overload. I agree, Lynn. So take it one thing at a time. Break it down into smaller pieces if you have to. Just maybe learn one easier piece at a time, maybe one scale at a time. Don't get too overwhelmed with all the things you should be working on. Honestly, if you're first starting out, you don't need to be practicing sight reading as much. You don't really, if you're just starting out, I mean like within the first week or two of playing, you don't really need to be playing scales yet, or a lot of things that I mentioned. So, layer it on. So just start out practicing reading music and then learning a piece. And then that's all you do for a few weeks until you get the hang of that. And then you add, maybe scales, reading music, and then learning a piece. And then scales, reading music, learning a piece, and then learning another piece. And then sight reading, scales, music. So you're layering it on as you go forward. And once you feel comfortable with the workload and the things that you're currently doing. Monique says, I have a difficult time with key signatures. Chords often run together. Okay. And flats and sharps. Oh, bass and F clef reading notes. Okay. So if you scroll up, I did, Monique, list a lesson about key signatures. I recommend you check that out. In terms of bass clef reading notes, what should you do about that? Well, you should read notes on the bass clef more often. Let me show you something else here. I don't know. Let's just say note reading practice. Okay, so type in note reading practice into Google. Type on note identification in musictheory.net. Click on the little icon over here. Select it to just bass clef. Uncheck treble clef. And go through and practice just your bass clef notes over and over and over and over and over again. C. And then that one's A. So I would go through this and practice this for maybe 10 minutes a day. If you don't know your ledger line notes, you can change that in the options as well by by decreasing the range rather with these arrows, because then it'll only do the ones on the staff. So I recommend you do that. Practice the bass clef, practice it over and over again till you feel better. Let's see. Laredo is probably the last real question I'm going to get to, so I apologize for anybody else, unless it's only like 1 or 2 more questions after that. Laredo says, "Oh, I've been neglecting everything, Tim. Procrastination has become my favorite buddy of mine." No, in recent times. No procrastination. Although we all fall victim to procrastination, even I do from time to time. That's another good lesson idea, isn't it? About procrastination. Let's see. How to overcome procrastination. Perfect. All right, got him. Okay, I bought the Alfred's All-in-One course for adults on Amazon, says Monique, so I'm committed to finishing the course. Perfect. I still listen and obtain course lessons. That's all very enriching. Thanks for student outreach. All right, you're welcome. Okay, you did not connect my pedal marking question with the 9-10 explanation. When you have a chord with a melody and no call for pedal. You did not connect my pedal marking question. I feel like an idiot sometimes because these questions, I'm like, it should be simple, but I'm not getting it. Marking questions with the 9-10 explanation. Okay, the 9-10 explanation. When you have a chord with a melody and no call for pedal. So if you don't have a call for pedal for your triangulation. What? There's a whole video on poke and guess method. Pedal marking question with the 9-10 explanation. Yeah, I'm sorry, Barbara, I'm lost. I don't know what a 9-10 explanation is. When you have a chord with a melody and you have no call for pedal. So then you don't really need to use a pedal, but if the piece sounds better with a pedal, you can do that. Like I said, you just want to be changing your pedal, bringing it up and down really quick every time the chord changes. I apologize if I don't really get that, but... Jim Carter says, sight reading, helping to play a theme, sonatina, number 4 in D. Rhythm tricky and need quick left-hand chord changes, but all down to practice. I agree. Others can tell me that I use stickers not to use stickers. Okay. Yeah. So I wouldn't use stickers to memorize the notes. Okay, now what I need to do is quickly we need to, well, not too quickly, but next few minutes, what I need to do, no, I don't want to do that. Let us do this. Okay. So we got some questions in on the community tab. If you don't know what the community tab is, if you go to the channel page and you click on community, I'm often asking questions here for others to ask, that I'll answer during the live stream. So the first one is from Fen Real Estate, Tamworth, is how do you read music with 2 treble and 1 bass? I don't know. With 2 treble and 1 bass? 2 treble, 1 bass. Well, why would you have 2 treble? You only have 2 hands. So I apologize, I'm not understanding again. I might have to come back to that one. All right, Winston says, how long does it take to play flawlessly along the rhythm with both hands reading the sheet? Well, that's a great question, Winston. The answer is that I still cannot do this flawlessly, so the answer is a long, long time. But to get very good at it, how long does it take to do that along the rhythm with both hands reading the sheet? It depends on you. how much time you have to practice, your natural playing ability. There's too many factors to really pin it down, but I would say in a few months, if you really put some work into it, you can get pretty solid at that. But like I said, I've been playing for years now, and I'm not flawless at anything. Trust me. I know I look perfect, and I sound perfect, and I do everything perfect all the time. Just kidding. But I'm really not. Okay, lack of motivation, says Belu, which was a question that she wanted me to answer, but you already did a video on it. Yeah, so to overcome a lack of motivation, oh wait, let me show you guys what's going on here. Yeah, how long does it take? No, lack of motivation. To overcome lack of motivation, do all the things we talked about today. That'll help. That's kind of a cop-out answer. And I did do a lesson on motivation. So yeah, just type in motivation, piano lessons on the web, and check out that there. How do you read the treble and bass clef at the same time? I also have a lesson on this as well. There's the question there. I keep forgetting to go back to it. Okay, so two things. Just type in motivation lessons on the web. A lesson on staying motivated for beginners learning piano. You can check this one out. How to avoid giving up learning piano. That one's a good one as well. Then what you want to do is type in reading treble and bass clef at same time. And check out this lesson here, the best strategy for reading both clefs at the same time. So check that out for the answers there. Okay, I think I got to all the other questions. I apologize if I didn't get to your question because we had so many tonight. It's a wonderful, wonderful problem to have. I'm really thankful, actually, that we have so many students engaged in our classroom. It really makes the whole thing worth it. One thing I want to tell you before we go is I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, where I have over 20 courses designed to help you learn a lot more about piano and music. So whether you're a beginner and you're still trying to get an iron grip on those beginner topics, or you are an intermediate and you're looking to get into the more advanced topics, or you're an advanced student looking to learn more than ever before, my courses can help you do that, because not only do they cover some things we cover on the channel, but they also cover a lot of other things that we've never covered on the channel, and especially not in as much detail. The features of the courses are that they all have lifetime access, so you don't have to worry about expiration dates. You can learn piano theory, improvisation, rhythm, ear training, and pretty much anything I felt that you would need to become a well-rounded musician. There's instructional videos along with notes, worksheets, and sheet music, so you can not only learn, but you can practice and master each topic as well, which is a pretty big leg up from the YouTube channel, where we just kind of cover something and then we move on. I don't really give you a whole lot of practice assignments. These courses will cover that as well, and it's compatible with all your favorite devices, and you can scroll down and read more about that. So if you like what you see over here on the YouTube channel and you're ready to start taking things more seriously, take things to that next level, go to pianolessonsontheweb.com and take a look at my courses. Highly recommended if you like what you see over here on the channel. All right, everybody, I'm going to do a formal outro, so when I cut this video together it makes sense, and then I'll bid you adieu after that. The number one thing I want to tell you to do right now is to check out this lesson, or this playlist of lessons rather, on overcoming problems that students commonly face on piano. So if you like today's lesson, you definitely want to check that out. You definitely want to subscribe as well, because we got new lessons coming out all the time, and you don't want to miss a beat. So this has been your piano teacher, Tim, here from Piano Lessons on the Web. Have a great day, and I'll teach you again very soon. All right, let's say bye-bye to everybody, and then we'll Let's see. Lorea says, "Yippee! I stayed awake right up to the very end of the lesson, despite my having be so exhausted." Well, congratulations, Laredo. I appreciate that. Okay, wait a second. And now that the positivity has worked, thank you, Tim and fellow students. I appreciate your input. You're very welcome. And those imperfections make you perfect and human. Thank you very much, Adria. Barbara, yeah, about the chord reaches with the melody, like if you have to reach that 10th there, yeah, just hold down the pedal and practice getting your hand up to where it needs to be. Because you're going to have to let go of the earlier notes in the melody to hit that. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Say hello, bye-bye to everybody. You're very welcome, everybody. Bye, Tim. God bless. Thank you very much, Truman. Let's see here. I fully concur, says Laredo. Nice comment. Thank you very much, Jim. I agree that was very nice. Tim, thank you. You're very welcome, Fuddy Duddy. Thank you for coming out tonight from probably not so cold Bangor, Maine, right? I know today it was like 95 degrees where I was, so it was very hot. Good night, Tim. Cheers. You're very welcome. Or good night, I mean. I don't know. I said welcome. Paul, thanks, Tim. He says, you're very welcome, Paul. And thank you, everybody else who came out tonight. Bernadine, thanks for coming out. Laredo, Adria, Jim, Paul. Person whose name I can't pronounce, which I apologize for. Sorry about that. And everybody else that's made our classroom very, very strong over the last year. We are getting more and more people coming, and it makes me feel very good that so many people, so many students like yourselves are engaged with our classroom and our content. It really keeps me going. So thank you all for that. And like I always say, if it wasn't for all of you, I would have stopped doing this a long time ago. So it's a big thanks to all of you. Your name is Ziad. My name is Ziad. Hopefully I can remember that. I may very well not. So you might have to, if you remind me a few times, if you come back and you remind me, I would say 3 times. Hopefully you haven't reminded me 3 times already, but I will eventually remember. Good night, Adria. Good night, everybody. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for coming by. This has been your piano teacher, Tim, from Piano Lessons on the Web, where we're all about what? Powering up our piano skills and sharing them with the world. So thanks, everybody, for coming. And I'm going to talk to you on Sunday. What are we talking about on Sunday? Anybody remember? By the way, if you go to my website, Piano Lessons on the Web, you click on Community, you scroll down, you can see what we're talking about. Music Reading Challenge. So if you know how to read music and you're looking for a challenge, check that out. All right, everybody, thanks for coming, or students, thanks for coming, and I'll talk to you soon. All over the place. Bye-bye.